So if you saw my previous home tour video, my kitchen already looks pretty familiar to you. But recently I've made a few changes in the way that I set everything up to help improve the overall practicality and workflow of the space. By leaning heavily on my minimalist principles and focusing on my goal of increased productivity while cooking, I have found that the overall experience of not only cooking but cleaning up has become far more enjoyable since I've reorganized. I hope you enjoy this video and maybe you'll find some inspiration for your own kitchen. Something that I'm very big on is keeping the counters completely clutter-free. With very few exceptions, I keep everything off the counter and stored neatly in the cabinets. The cabinet furthest to the right is a single standalone cabinet separated from the rest. I use it as a hybrid between a medicine cabinet and a pet food storage area. This is where I keep Levi's food and treats, as well as things like band-aids and vitamins and medications for both of us. The vast majority of these supplements are actually his. Directly under this cabinet is the dishwasher, and the sink is right next to it. One of the small simple things I enjoy treating myself to is nice smelling dish soap. I'm currently using Mrs. Meyer's Lilac, which is one of my absolute favorites in the spring and summer months. Under the sink, I keep all the standard stuff like my compost, recycling and garbage bins, paper towels, dishwasher pods, and cleaning sprays. The cabinet to the left holds my knife block, various cooking utensils, and my oils and vinegars. The part of the counter between the stove and the sink is where I do the majority of my cooking prep, so it's very easy for me just to reach down with my right hand and grab a knife or some olive oil without having to walk across the kitchen and without having to leave it out on the counter all the time. For the same reason, my pots, pans, and cutting boards are stored directly beneath my prep spot. I do a lot of home cooking, so I probably have more cookware than most people who live alone, but I do use it all. Jumping to the upper cabinets, I have all my coffee and tea stuff in the corner here so I can make my warm drink in the morning without even thinking about it. My kettle and pour over have their own dedicated shelves, so they're easily accessible. The next cabinet over holds all my other drinkware, including my large collection of mason jars, which I use both as glasses as well as food storage. You can't beat their versatility and price, and okay fine, they add some hipster points too. Next up are my plates and bowls. This is a plain white dish set that I got from Costco. I really like the simplicity of the plain white aesthetic, and they were very well priced too. My stove has a bit of an interesting backstory. Before living in this house, I had never cooked on a gas range, but I'd always heard people go on and on about how much nicer it is than electric. I didn't understand it then, and I still can't quite fully explain it, but they were right. However, the first time that I used the stove after moving in, I immediately noticed a gas smell coming from it. I had to call the emergency number for the gas company, and a big kerfuffle ensued, and it turns out that there was indeed a small gas leak coming from one of the elements. So basically, my fancy stove was trying to kill me. Of course, it's since been fixed, and all is well now. The cabinet above the hood vent is way too high to be useful, kind of like Charlie Sheen. So other than hiding the ductwork for the hood fan, it's completely empty, as is the upper shelf in most of my cabinets. Next to the stove are my 4 drawers. The top one holds my most used spices, organized in alphabetical order. Next is the cutlery drawer and the kitchen towel drawer. And the extra deep bottom drawer holds all my small kitchen gadgets like measuring spoons, colanders, graters, etc. Directly above is my food storage stuff. I use these glass Anchor Hawking containers, which are super affordable and durable. I find glass to be so much better than plastic Tupperware since it doesn't scratch or stain and it doesn't hold smells or flavors. There's nothing worse than storing brownies in a plastic container that previously held spaghetti sauce and winding up with garlic brownies. Gross. Trust me on that one. The next section of cabinets is where I store my food since I don't have an actual pantry. This bottom one in particular is used for overstock for things I have a surplus of. I tend to stock up when certain things are on sale that I use a lot of. And here are my dry goods like pasta, rice, and beans, as well as my additional spices and baking supplies. I know that a lot of minimalists live without a microwave. I'm not one of those people, but I did buy the smallest one I could find that would fit a full dinner plate without taking up too much counter space. And directly beneath it is where I store all my small appliances like my espresso maker, stand mixer, blender, and food processor. I have this very small kitchen island which just barely fits 2 chairs, and this is where I eat since I don't have an actual kitchen table. Levi's bowls are neatly tucked to the side since I find this is where I'm least likely to trip on them, though it still does happen from time to time because I'm a klutz. Inside the island, I store my potatoes and onions as well as miscellaneous things like extra garbage bags and my mini camping-sized barbecue. The only other cabinets are these ones above the fridge, which again, Charlie Sheen. My fridge actually looks quite messy inside, but it's definitely organized chaos. With the exception of Levi's raw food and his giant tub of yogurt, everything is 100% vegan. It looks pretty full, but really, I just have a shit ton of hot sauce. I love to cry when I eat, and hot sauce gives me a way better excuse than crippling loneliness. That's a joke, by the way. I don't cry from hot sauce. Anyways, that's my kitchen in all its hyper-organized, bare-countered glory. I think it serves as a good reminder that minimalism looks different for everyone. Some people like to have certain items displayed on their counter, some don't. Some people never cook or entertain and own far less kitchen gear, while some probably own a lot more than I do. Minimalism is just about curating your life to the standards that make you happy. And yes, for me that means having 36 different kinds of hot sauce, so suck it.